Hello, my favorite people, and happy last episode of 2025. I don't know if I ever set a precedent for what we were doing at the end of the year, so I don't even know if you will know that plans are changing. This is kind of like being a bride at a wedding and something happening. And what I say all the time is you're the only one that's going to know, you, your partner, your planners, maybe your parents, because no one else is aware. Maybe that is what's happening for you, and you're like, what are you even talking about? And that's fine. But we had planned on doing rerun episodes through the end of the year, so for the next 2 weeks as well. And I guess the first episode would be that first week of 2026. And I'm drowning. Quite literally feel like I'm drowning. And I pulled the plug on that because, we'll get into this in the first episode of 2026. One of the many reasons why I wanted to bring the show in-house and to leave my network was to have more control over everything. And this is a perfect example of that. I think that the juice is not worth the squeeze there. The return on investment from a time perspective, an energy perspective, a work perspective, to release a rerun episode the day before Christmas and the day before, maybe it's New Year's Eve, I don't even know. It just is not worth it for us. I think that every mom I have talked to, and everyone, but especially every mom over text and DM, is this December and every December maybe, I just feel like I'm behind the eight ball on everything in my life and that I'm playing catch up. And I know I've talked about this on social, and I know it's exhausting when I talk about the same thing over and over again, and I get it. But our kids have just not slept through the night in 10 plus days as I record this. And last night was actually a better night. It was just the first wake up was 4:30, which fine. I will start my day at 4:30. I don't care. That. Just give me that. But a few nights over this span has been I think maybe every hour. The night that we slept at my parents' apartment, Joe and I think slept maybe a collective of 2.5 hours, and we're in every iteration of sleeping with our children possible. At one point, one of us was on the couch with one was in a pull-out bed with one point, one of us was in the pull-out bed with both. One point, one of us was on a couch with both. One point, we had our older kid in this blow-up mattress and our younger kid in bed. It was just freaking musical chairs of sleeping positions, and no one was happy. I just remember Joe coming up to me at 1 a.m. being like, should we drive home? And I was like, what does that help? And no. And when I have a lack of sleep, I utterly feel like my life is crumbling. And I know that that is such a fucking exaggeration. And there are such bigger things happening that are horrific in this world. But the sleep aspect is so clearly a form of torture for me, sleep deprivation, where it honestly alters every aspect of my life. And so when I already felt overwhelmed by work and the holidays and the world and just everything happening, the sleep on top of it, combined with these coughs and colds that my kids cannot kick, has sent me over the edge. So this is me being an anti-perfectionist and pulling the plug on the last 2 reruns and just accepting that we don't need to make work that doesn't need to be done. So this is the last episode of 2025. I'm so excited that I will see you all from the new studio on January 7th when we release our first new episode. And the studio is not going to be finished. That's okay. And I'll get into it in that episode and why I am bringing things in-house and what this all looks like and what it means. But I'm just very excited to get back to new episodes. And I cannot wait for that one. But more importantly, I cannot wait to share our second episode of the season with a dream guest of mine, and one that I still cannot believe I interviewed. Otherwise, what's been going on? Obviously, the holidays are around the corner and have kind of already begun. It just feels like all of December is celebrating, which I personally love. And it adds to the chaos. Hence, every therapy session I've ever had. I love the chaos and I want out of it, but I create more. We have done things a little differently this year, where we basically decided to split up Christmases of sorts so that everyone can kind of get what they want. We're trying to please everyone, but really also prioritize like everyone's top desire. So a few years ago, I asked like my mom, my dad, and then my in-laws, like, what is your number one thing that you want out of the holidays? And to make sure that we were all trying to get our number one thing. And like my number one thing is waking up in our house Christmas morning and like not really moving on Christmas Day. Like I want to be in pajamas. I want to be resting. I want to be like having fun with my family in my house. And my mom's was they throw this huge Christmas caroling party. So it was that. And also she really likes the idea of having like a morning with all of the grandkids and celebrating Christmas, which I totally understand. And my mother-in-law's was, doesn't matter the day. I just want one day where like everyone is under my roof and we can have a meal and celebrate. So I said, let's make everyone's dream come true and have 3 different Christmases. So basically the night after my parents' caroling party, we all stayed in New York and then had what we're calling quote unquote Linville Christmas morning that next morning, where the kids, we told them like, it's not Santa, but Maxie and Paca, my grandparents' names, want to give you their gifts. So we all woke up there, did our matching pajama thing, did the breakfast my mom typically makes for Christmas, and they got their gifts. And I don't think I've ever seen my mom so happy in my life. And I'm actually not exaggerating, especially in the moment where she turned to my son and was like, should we look out at New York City and see what's happening this morning? And they opened the window and she had no idea. It had snowed like 5 inches and they overlooked Central Park in the most stunning view. And Central Park was like nothing I had ever seen before that day. And she was like a little kid experiencing Christmas for the first time. I cannot even explain to you the joy that I witnessed in her. And she was just so happy. Both my parents were. And so that made me so happy that we were able to like make this all work. So we did that kind of quote unquote Christmas morning where specifically my older son got his like, I don't even know how to explain this, but we're basically now in like the resale world of Buzz Lightyear toys because he wants such specific buzzes based on specific scenes in movies that don't exist. So like we're scouring eBay and Facebook Marketplace and like all of these secondhand websites to get them for him. And I've never seen a kid so happy in my life. And then this upcoming weekend, we will do our Rogers Christmas with all of my in-laws in Princeton. And then we have like a few different Christmas celebrations happening around actual Christmas. And maybe people are like, this is my nightmare. As someone who loves Christmas, this is my dream. I love it. I love the joy. I love the celebrations. I love like the excitement of it. I love the traditions. I love being with people. And on that note, like the thing I miss personally the most of Christmas as a kid is having that moment with all of my cousins who I'm extremely close with, who we spent Christmas with up until I think the year I was engaged was the first year we didn't. And they told me on my bachelorette and I cried like a little child that they weren't going to be coming for Christmas. So like that moment of Christmas Eve slumber party was one of my favorite things. And I miss that so deeply, especially because I'm still so close with my cousins and I so deeply cherish our relationships and also their relationships with our children make me so happy. So the night before Christmas Eve, I'm starting a new tradition, which we kind of did last year impromptu, but now I'm like stomping it with a seal. Does that make any sense? Sure doesn't. But I'm making it a tradition where they're going to come here. We're going to have Chinese food, watch movies, and I'll have a slumber party. And I can't wait. Like I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that. I'm trying to think of any other housekeeping things. Oh, this week next week, I'm headed to Henry Street Settlement to throw the holiday party for all of the families that we did the gift drive for. And I just want to quickly say thank you to every single person that participated. We were able to clear holiday wish lists for 28 families, and nothing brings me more joy than being able to really exemplify how incredible this community is and how willing you all are to show up, and B, to give to people around the holidays who, you know, I hold so many privileges, and not the only reason, but one of the largest reasons why I want to work and continue to work and do the things I want to do is to give back and to help others in multitude ways. And this is one of them. And I'm very grateful for everyone's participation. So thank you so much. Otherwise, this episode was recorded. We released it in July 2023. I can't remember exactly when it was recorded, but I'm pretty positive I was 8 weeks pregnant. Is that possible? Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yes, that is what happened. Okay. I had booked this LA trip and did a multitude of recordings. I think we did like 8, which is crazy, in 2 days. And I was maybe 8-10 weeks pregnant. Like, I was bad. I was down bad. And I'm pretty sure, 99% positive, that this is one of those episodes. So you'll hear me reference, I'm sure, I have one child and all of that. Obviously, this was before I had my second child. And if I ever mention my kid's age, obviously that was before he was younger. But I really wanted to reuse this episode as a rerun because I personally love Dr. Aliza Pressman. She is a shining light in my eyes in the parenting world. I admire her so much. I'm fortunate enough to call her a friend. I ask her 10,000 questions because I really respect and admire the work that she does. And I felt like this is an evergreen episode that holds so many nuggets of wisdom that I wanted to share with you all because maybe we have new listeners, or maybe you listened to this like I did 2 years ago and forgot everything. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you all have an incredible rest of your 2025. Thank you all so much for helping me make my dreams come true, quite literally. Like, I pinch myself every day that this is the job I get to do. And it's really thanks to you. So you guys are the real ones, and I love you with my whole heart. Here is Dr. Aliza Pressman.
Come on in, take a seat, pour a drink, pass one to me. Conversations with Cam, talking life, come join the fam. Throw away your hesitations, have unfiltered conversations. If you've got an ear to lend, here's Conversations with Cam.
But I also know that my listeners are going to be really excited for this episode because I talk a lot about parenting techniques with no degree of anything. And I always say that. I'm like, guys, take it for what it's worth. This is just what I do. And I've never read a book. I just kind of go with my gut. But I'd like to think I'm doing a good job. So I'm very excited to have you. My first question would be...
Does that mean we've started?
Oh, yeah, we've started. We've started. My first question is, what initially drew you to this field? Because you started before you were a parent.
I know, it's so weird. I probably, like anyone who goes into particularly developmental psychology, you have to have been really curious about how things shake out after your childhood. I have a sneaking suspicion. I have not done a study on this, but if you did an interview with people whose whole purpose in life is to understand how we come to be who we are, starting at, the earliest ages and in utero even, then I feel like if you interviewed them about what their childhood was like, they had interesting characters. Certainly there was some flavor. And then I was actually doing volunteer work with kids, and someone there told me that there was something called drama therapy, which is a thing. And so I was in New York City and I went to NYU to talk to the head of the department, and it was in the middle of the year, and he was like, you can't just start a program. It starts in September, but you can take these courses that are sort of fundamentals in this field of psychology in general, and then you'll have some in your back pocket before the program starts. So I took I took like clinical psych and counseling psychology and organizational psychology and developmental, and it was like speed dating for me. It was so fascinating. And I heard the professor talking about monkeys moving closer to the wire that was representing their mother when it had like soft, fuzzy, warm blanket material on it versus the one that had a bottle, because it was the first study that was showing, it's a very famous study, but it was showing that these monkeys were more in need of nurturing than food.
Wow.
And I was just like, what? And
I believe it.
Yeah, I just got really sucked into it.
Do you feel like your work and knowledge completely shifted when you actually became a mother? because I think there's one way, obviously not speaking for you, but personally, even just little things where I was like, oh, I would never do that. And then I'm a mom. I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking doing it. Like, I'm doing anything to survive some days.
Yes.
Do you feel like there was a turning point with your work that when you became a mom, you almost reflected back and be like, wow, I think very differently about certain things?
Yeah, I for sure moved out of academia because of parenting. Because I was like, wait a second. There's a whole world out there of people who are hearing information that feels either too complicated and judgmental and tricky, or it's not based in science, but they're getting information that they think is super important for their kids' health and development. I don't know. It shifted my parenting. I mean, it shifted my work and shifted my parenting, but I'm not sure. I think it more changed what I did with my work. So I was going in a direction of doing policy and changing I wanted to change Medical Leave Act and all that stuff. And then I sort of started to notice there were places that I could probably touch that were a little bit more realistic for having the lifestyle that I wanted to have with my kids. And working with physicians and healthcare systems and families, mom groups directly was really awesome. But it didn't. I've already forgot the question. I think I also noticed I don't worry as much as other people. That kind of shifted because there's a real range that's okay. So I actually don't worry as much. And I think I notice what's unrealistic about recommendations, like best practices in quotes. I kind of am like,
Right. It's like the World Health Organization recommends we breastfeed up to 2.
Right.
In how?
And
I get that some people can, but that's
context is super important.
not the reality for so many of us.
Yeah.
And I feel that way too about some of the parenting stuff I see, which is why I honestly didn't read any books when I was pregnant. I just steered clear because at the end of the day, I do think naturally through evolution, we're built to do this.
Yes.
And sometimes the noise can just cause overwhelm.
Yes.
And I also think a lot of, especially pregnancy stuff, I don't know if you know who Emily Oster is, but she does a lot of work around this.
Yeah.
Of a lot of that is built in fear-mongering and outdated
100%.
research. So I'm I'm going to eat my freaking Italian hoagie.
Yeah.
If you're really worried about me getting E. coli, you should tell me not to eat romaine lettuce.
Right,
But you're
right,
not telling me
right.
that. So I just kind of steered clear of the overwhelming information because I think it's so easy to go down this path of research and research and research, and inevitably it ends up causing you to feel like you're not doing a good enough job or you screwed something up. And I even notice this with social. If I'm sharing something just candidly, oh, we're watching Moana tonight, people are like, oh, you let your child have screen time.
Right.
What are your rules? I'm like, I don't have rules. I don't know. We live in a technological world. He's not sitting in front of a TV watching it all day long, but you better believe we're going to watch Moana. So it's a fan favorite over in our house. So I agree. I just think that some of the research, whether it's meant to or not, can cause so much overwhelming emotion, especially for first-time moms.
I think what happens is, first of all, research read out of context is disastrous sometimes because attachment research gets mucked up all the time and makes moms in particular, but parents in general, so stressed out and crazy. And I think a lot of it is making sure that when you do care about something, you understand what the source is and where the research was done and on whom it was done. So it may have nothing to do with you. A recommendation might have to do with a population that isn't even remotely close to the life you lead or the cultural background that you have. So what we know is for this group of people who live exactly in this place with exactly this background, these things are true. And somehow that will turn into every parent needs to do X. And so that also is a real bummer about misunderstanding research.
And on that note, I think that whether it's research or whatever, recommendations, it's also bio-individualized. And every kid is going to be so different. Every parenting is going to be so different. The way you parent one child, I was talking about this with my mom, like she remembers vividly realizing I have to parent my kids differently.
Yes.
Which I obviously haven't experienced because I only have one. But for instance, my child is very verbal, and my sister parents her child very differently because he's very physical.
Yes.
And I'm focusing on certain things and she's focusing on other things, and we communicate separately because it's the same thing isn't going to work for those two toddlers. But do you have advice that you feel you wish every first time parent knew?
Yeah, I think along those lines, I mean, there are like 4 things in research that are true across the board for everybody, and that's about it. So I would want to impart that. And then I would say parenting is not a religion. And so if anybody is promoting it that way, it's probably, something is amiss. And I really think that temperament is undervalued. And what you're talking about is temperament. And it is the way, like, how we come out into the world, how we respond physiologically to the environment looks different depending on our temperament. So there's one doctor who I think created such a beautiful way of looking at it when he did his research. His name's Dr. Thomas Boyce, and he talks about the orchid and the dandelion. And he looked at, because he was asking the question, like, why do some kids thrive and some kids struggle when given the same environment or the same challenges? And he did studies that weren't just, looking at the kinds of challenges that you might encounter in, war-torn lands, but he looked at just blowing cold air on certain kids or changing the challenge of a puzzle. So all sorts of things that were in the environment, in the activities that they were doing, in the stress of a parent leaving a room, all sorts of things. And found that there are some kids who are like orchids. And by the way, this maps to temperament research from before, but this was done with not just the social science, but also looking at biology, and found that the orchid babies basically are more sensitive. And so if they're not given the more thought out sunlight, water, and soil, what happens with an orchid? Like, it either blooms magnificently or it just doesn't thrive. And those are known as orchid kids or highly sensitive people. That's a term that people hear more than orchid. And dandelions are just like it sounds. They kind of will grow no matter what, as long as they get some sunlight, water, and soil. And then researchers after that looked at the tulip kids. And those are sort of somewhere in between. And temperament is wild because if you have a kid, so this weekend I was at this volleyball tournament, and there was a mom there who brought her 3-month-old baby, and this baby was a dandelion. Like, she could handle the fact that she didn't sleep the entire time. There was so much noise, I could barely function. It was the noisiest, largest group of people I've never seen anything like it. And, people were coming up to this baby and touching this baby and being very loud and startling. This baby didn't care. And so I noticed how many people said to this mom, that's because you're bringing her here. Like, you're such a good mom because you're exposing this baby to so much. Look, she can handle anything. And I was thinking, I did not say this out loud, but I was thinking, wait till this same mom could bring another baby here that is not a dandelion, whose biological systems don't respond with ease when given all of that stuff. And they will be in hysterics and dysregulated or completely still and startled. And that is not because of parenting. That is because of our temperament. And you come into the world with it, and you have to parent that kid, that flower.
Because it's all nature versus nurture, right? Like, in a sense, like, that's the nature aspect.
That's the nature aspect. And you can influence it so that, because like an orchid, you plant the seed and it could kind of not bloom, or it could be this wild blossomed flower. That's the same seed. That's the nature part. How you care for it is going to impact how it blossoms. So it's both.
I'm a bit of the highly sensitive. Like, I get very overstimulated. But that's more honestly with like my older age. It's been interesting to observe, honestly. But I get intensely overstimulated and like very easily frustrated and angered and riled when there's a lot going on. But it's so interesting to me to observe how different children can react to different things. And again, I don't have multiple children yet, but when I think about even my son and my nephew, like they could be in the same situation. I could do something to my son's toys that like my nephew would not think twice about, and my son would be in like panic and freak out. And it's so interesting because I also think it plays into the way that we compare as parents. And this is a conversation I've had with my sister a lot, and we're so blessed that the two of us never compare parenting styles. We never compare children.
That is blessed.
And they're 4 months apart, so there could be much room for that. But we just have a lot of respect for each other and the way we navigate the situations, and I feel so grateful for that. But I realize that not everyone has that, even with people they don't know, even with people on social media. There's so much comparison, and I think it's so important to remember that we're all parenting different kids, but to be like hold back on the judgment. You know, like people always ask, oh, when we flew with my son, they asked what toys we had, or we bring him out to eat all the time. They're like, so do you have an iPad? And I was like, no, like he doesn't have his own iPad. We watch TV at home, whatever. But he's not someone that is like, not difficult. That's not the right word. But he will sit at a table and eat and just chill. If he was unable to do that, maybe I would bring in an iPad. You would have a different setup. I would have a different setup. I would have something to like help him in these situations. But because that initial factor isn't happening, we simply don't have it. But you also have to remember as a parent, and I remind myself all the time, like just because I don't have that setup, there's no judgment passed on someone else having that setup. They have a different situation that they're handling.
You don't know what they're dealing with.
Yeah. Back to what you were saying. What were those 4 things that you were going to say? You said that there were 4 pieces of advice.
I'm like, I don't know.
So
you'll figure it out.
Let me switch up topics. Cliffhanger. I was like, do not forget, Cameron. Do not forget.
So many things are not important. Are noise. So many things are like noise that might make you feel better, so you do it. Fine. Like if you want to really focus on one thing, like how you potty trained, Godspeed.
Oh God, can I ask you about that?
You absolutely can. And I could tell you, like, I could ask you questions about your temperament and your child's temperament, and we could figure out what you believe in and what your values are and how you want to potty train.
Perfect.
And it will be different for different people. Fine. But these 4 things really matter. The first is your level, like your capacity to be sensitive to your child. Just that sensitive care and sensitivity of care can mean something that is different, again, based on what your child's personality is. So some children are in a room and it's very noisy, and a parent is like, I can feel that they're tightening up. I can feel that they're withdrawing. They need a little bit more support right now. They might need to walk out of this room, and I need to take a few breaths just so that my body, my nervous system helps calm them.
We do deep breaths. We have this the breathing ball, and so we like practice it. So that when he gets really worked up, I'm like, "Are you frustrated?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "What do we do?" Deep breaths.
Deep breaths,
and we do them together.
We all have to do deep breaths.
I have to do them all the time. I wish I learned that earlier.
So, and that's a really early, like a great thing for any kid. So here's the thing: every kid and adult needs to practice their self-regulation, but some kids need more practice. And so the sensitivity of care allows you to see what your child needs. And alongside that, you need clear limits and appropriate boundaries. If you do one and not the other, and you know, like, I am really good at being sensitive, I'm not so comfortable with setting limits, don't worry about the sensitivity of care. You've got that. Focus on being comfortable setting consistent limits. And that is much more about the mom, need to learn.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you. Okay, we're one done.
A single. Okay. The mom, need to get uncomfortable figuring out how I can move through this experience of setting a limit while I know it's making my child uncomfortable. Because sensitivity of care doesn't mean that you can't be uncomfortable. It's recognizing that we can stretch our kids. We just don't want them to break. But the stretching is critical. So a lot of that limit setting is about, I have to live through looking at those cute little eyes that well up because I'm not giving them another cookie. It's simple as that. Or because I decided that they couldn't play with a knife. And then the third thing is repair. Repair is a part of all relationships because there are always going to be small little ruptures, and that is how we build strength. That's how muscles strengthen. That's how relationships strengthen. And so making sure that when there are ruptures, you repair is how you make sure that that connection grows and grows and grows. And more importantly, your child learns that a moment of misstep is not catastrophic. So like if you didn't ever fight at home and you never saw mistakes happening or you never saw your parent mess up, frankly, you would grow up, get in a relationship, somebody would be frustrated with you, snap at you even, and you might just think, I guess this is it. This is over, because you've never seen that relationships can have deep love and foundations and stability, and just moments where your dance is messy. Like when people talk about, this is particular pressure for moms, but all parents, when they talk about the dance between the dyad, the mother-child dyad, it pains me because dance implies something graceful. And it's very messy. And so you have to think of it as like beginner dance, where you're like stepping on each other a little bit, but then you're like, oh, sorry. Like, let me try it this way.
Was that your toe? My
Yeah,
bad. Like
exactly.
my husband and I in our wedding dance practice.
Exactly. And if you had just thought, I guess if we're not going to do this smoothly and beautifully like Fred and Ginger, forget it. So that's the third thing. And then the fourth thing is self-compassion. Like we absolutely know that if parent self-compassion, which is sort of in the category of mental health, is off, then there is no capacity to mess up and do the things that you need to do to make repairs and to move along and forgive. And once you have that, you know, you kind of have parenting down. You can do anything because all the other decisions that you're going to make can be with that lens. Like, what are my core values? What is my North Star? What do I want my kid to say? You know, in 20 years, how do I want them to describe our household or what I was like and what was important to me? All of those things can be done through the lens of knowing that you loved your child and they felt loved for who they are, not for their accomplishments, and that you were able to set limits and boundaries. So like, we are not the same person. We're not, you know, you are you, I am me, and I love you. And that there's going to be repairs. There's going to be mistakes.
So I love all of that, and I think it's such helpful information. But one thing that you said really just stuck out to me, of making sure our children know that we love them for them and not their accomplishments, because I have always felt very loved by my parents, always. But there was a deep attachment to accomplishments, specifically on the sports field or academically. And that's something that I have in my adulthood had to work through as like a type A high performing anxious person that's always trying to be the best. And in my 30s, honestly, like the past 2 years, I've really come to terms with like, I don't want to be the best. I like not being the best. I want to be good, and I want to like work hard, and I want to accomplish things, but I don't actually want to be the best. And this is something that I am trying to be conscious about, as is my husband, with our son when he's doing things of like, there is that weird line where it's like, I'm so proud of you, way to go. And then it's like, when you don't do it, way to try. Like we have, for instance, we have this little thing in our basement that's like a plank thingy. I don't even know. You know, you can climb up of it. Like it's one of those things that toddlers have.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he's really just like less physical. Like he's always been he crawled late, he walked late. He's just not the most like physical kid. He's busy chit-chatting. But like if you take him to a park, he's not the one like running around doing crazy shit, jumping off of things, which is kind of a blessing for me, because
especially if you feel anxious.
Yeah, I'm like, I never have to worry about him. He's always just by my side talking to me. But it's interesting, like when he climbs up this thing. The other day we were all standing in the basement, we turned around and all of a sudden he's climbed it, and we were like, Liam! Like, because it was the first time he's done it, and it was so interesting to just watch him have the confidence and the wherewithal to go do it on his own. We were honestly just both shocked. But then I was like, shit, I don't want him to think that that's how we get excited, and that's how the only reason we're proud of him, which I don't think he would think, but I don't know, it's fucking confusing.
It is confusing, and I think that's a moment where if let's say you were like, woohoo, you're the best, you did it, and then you're like, oh, wait, hold on, is he gonna feel that way, blah, blah. Then you think of that as one of the little missteps that gave him, you know, that you can repair, and the repair is more, even though it's not, but those are those moments where that's exactly what we need to do, is as we're, because you were born as a parent 2 years ago, right? So
it's still fresh.
You're a toddler mom. And
Thank you.
So you're gonna like wobble a little bit, and in that moment you get to say, what keeps me steady? And in that moment you were wondering that question, which is a great question, and that is what is, you know, that is paying attention. That's the thing about parenting that makes you an awesome mom, not whether you said the right thing or didn't, but that you noticed.
Thank you.
So, but I can speak to that a little bit if you want.
I would love to.
There is research on kind of praise and focusing on the outcome instead of the process and all of that stuff. But essentially, the big picture message is anytime you're going to support your child and praise them for something, if you can have in your mind, and again, assuming that you'll do this some of the time, but
1 out of 10.
Yeah. Like my mom clapped so much for me that when I got to preschool, she said that every time I did anything, I would turn around looking, the teacher told her, looking for.
No, but that's very true. I actually have a very good friend that she says all the time, like, my parents praised me so much that, like, I really struggle as an adult because I feel like no one praises me. Like, in her relationship, she's like, why don't you praise me?
Yeah, I'm.
Like, get on your fucking knees and tell me how amazing I am. And it's interesting because then we have different things where both of our parents thought they were doing the right thing. It's
of course.
It's all impacts us differently.
Well, I think with praise, the thing to think about, and the only reason to have an awareness about it is to adjust some of the time. And what it is imagining that when you praise, if it's about the accomplishment, then what does that say about the process leading up to the accomplishment? And what does that say about what you should focus on as a person? Like, is the struggle the part that you should focus on? Is that the thing that's like laid out in the water of your household? Or is it the like getting the A, getting to the top? And if it's the getting to the top, if you don't think you're going to be stellar, it's very hard to even try. So you get a lot of perfectionists from that. So you might recognize that, like you'll do, and this is much more prevalent in women. Not saying exclusively, but it is more prevalent in women, where you're like, I will A game the following 5 things. I won't even try that,
right? You're
I'm
too
not.
afraid to
I'm
try
not going to get
because
a
you're
C.
not
Like,
gonna
what do I
succeed.
need a C for? So you almost. And a B even is like, and not that the world is in grades, but let's just talk in grades. Because
No, you're speaking my language.
A B is an F, right? So for a perfectionist. But the problem with it is, it's like the secret pain of a perfectionist is that there's a whole world of things you can't do because you're like, I don't want anybody to see this. I don't want this to be a fail. And it's hard. So you're missing out on what could be so much joy because it's just like too painful to not be the best.
Can I also say, because this is really speaking my past language, it also stops you from trying new things that can simply just be hobbies.
Just fun.
Like just literal activities, because you're so wired for everything to be this successful task.
Yes.
And I've noticed that with myself, even when it gets to work. Like, I really struggle with doing things for the fun of it, because my hyper competitive internal voice is like, but it has to be really good and I have to do the best. And if I'm not going to do the best, then I shouldn't do it.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I just think that you miss out on so many opportunities.
Out on so much. And, you know, I was just, I noticed so many people saying things like, well, I'm not going to have her do that because she's not going to be good at it. Or, so we do it as parents too. Like, I can tell, I actually did this. I remember my youngest wanted to try out for SAB when she was in second grade. It's the School of American Ballet, which was, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, girl is not getting into School of American Ballet. Like, she had never touched her toes. She did not have natural turnout. She did not have an arched foot. Like, there was nothing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I had a moment where I said to my mom, I was like, I mean, what is the point? And my mother was like, you have told me since these kids were born, process not outcome, and blah, 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 blah. And now you're like, why bother? She's not going to get in. So I brought, because I was almost, it was just too painful to think, because I danced when I was little, and the idea of the rejection she would experience.
Right. Part of you wants to just protect her.
I just wanted to protect her, even though from a developmental perspective, nothing is more of an opportunity than trying something, not getting it, and seeing that you survived, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how you avoid the perfectionism trap. And so, but I needed that perspective, even though it was something that I might tell other people, because when you're in it, you just can't.
It's different.
But for kids to feel that, I mean, I have so many stories, story after story, of kids who go through these experiences of feeling like their massive achievements were really in the service of pleasing their parents, even though they almost bought it during, because they got so into it. And then it leaves you with this empty feeling of like, who am I doing this for?
Absolutely.
And is my love conditional?
Yes. But how do we celebrate the process as parents to make sure that that's not how a child feels in their more adult or later child stage?
Well, one very common recommendation is like using art as an example. When your little toddler comes over to you to show you a picture that they drew. Drew is a loose.
He's like eating crayons.
Yeah, exactly.
As I hand them to him.
Maybe it's a year.
But no,
maybe
but he
it's
does
3.
draw. We have a whole freaking draws. He's very into it, and like he'll scribble around. Yeah.
Right. So they show you a dot on a page, and you're like, oh, you have 2 choices or 3 choices. But usually parents are like, oh my goodness, look at that. You made this beautiful picture for me. It's gorgeous. Let's put it up. Okay.
Mine goes in the trash. I'm like, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. But the other option is to say, oh, tell me about that.
Ooh, okay.
Or, oh, I see there's a line here. So you're just making an observation. And so it stops feeling like everything your child does for them is waiting for your approval, disapproval, or grade. So it's like, I'm making an observation instead of I'm making a judgment, almost like actually saying to yourself, I'm a witness, not a judge. And you just practice. And again, some of the time you're going to be like, this is Picasso. And other times you're going to throw it out. But every once in a while, if you can remember to be the witness, not the judge. Same with sports practice. Like, okay, what today felt like compared to yesterday you really felt stronger about? Or can you tell I'm not an athlete?
I watched you like kind of like tiptoe around that.
Like, what
would
do
I
athletes
say
do?
at practice?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
My
like,
college.
what drills did you do today?
Yes. What
How
drills
was
did you do?
it?
How'd you
feel you played.
Yeah,
Like, is that
just
okay?
like things like that. Ask questions and, oh, I noticed that you kept going. You fell, you hurt yourself, but it wasn't, you weren't broken. And
Yeah.
so you were able to get up and having the capacity to just notice those things like, oh, when do I listen to my body? How did my body feel? Am I pushing myself enough that I'm stretching, or am I pushing myself so much that I'm breaking? Those are the things that we want to pay attention to grow and celebrate our own capacity to do that. And those kinds of observations help kids develop process, not outcome. You know, when they criticize themselves instead of, you know, if they say like, I'm not good at this, there's the word yet is very, very important in the literature on growth mindset, because the growth mindset kids are the kids who believe that they, you know, things can get better. And the fixed mindset is, I'm a math person, I'm a sports person, I'm a this, and there's nothing you can do about it. So for the growth mindset research, adding the word yet can really help kids. So they say, I can't draw this dog yet. Instead of, yes, you can, it's amazing.
Right. I like that. Something else that my husband and I talk a lot about, and I think about all the time, is it's so interesting and difficult, quite honestly, to not project your own interests and hobbies onto your children. And we've been really trying to make a conscious effort about this. So my husband and I are both athletes our entire lives. We both played in college. Like,
Dying to know which sports.
so I played lacrosse. I played soccer and lacrosse my entire life, and then I played lacrosse in college.
That maps.
My husband played basketball and football, but he played basketball in college. So I can't believe I just said football, but I feel like he would get mad if I didn't say it. Technically, his career ended with thumb surgery, like in high school, whatever. But he's going to be listening to this like, what? Just say I play basketball. Anyway, we both were hyper competitive athletes our entire lives, and like competitive people is putting it lightly. We both calmed down a bit, but it's the projections that other people put on our child. I notice all the time.
He's going to be an athlete.
He's going to be an
because
athlete.
You are.
Everyone, like my friends, my family, everyone's always like, does it kill you that like loves to read and do all this stuff? I'm like, no, it really doesn't. Like what? Like I want him to do whatever he wants to be interested in. And I really deeply, passionately feel about that. If you'd asked me 5 years ago, no, I would have been like, of course my child has to be an athlete. But now that he's on this earth, I don't care what the hell he wants to do as long as he's happy. And that's one thing, the projections of others, that I'm very protective of him, because I don't want him growing up feeling like he has to be this type of person. But secondly, it's confusing where, you know, we're signing him up for activities now, and we sign him up for soccer, and like those are things that I am inclined as the mom who's primarily taking him to these things. Like, I'd want to do that. And we do swim class and all this stuff. But then I'm also like, we need to make sure he's in some form of art class. And I want to take him to a music class. And he lives in the library. The kid's a freaking bookworm. He was a bookworm for Halloween. It was a really cute outfit. I'll show it to you.
Cute.
And like, that was something where I was very much like, okay, for Halloween, it's not about my interests, which he was 1 and a few months at the time. Like, I need to calm down. But I'm like, what does he love? His favorite things are books, hands down. So I made this bookworm costume. And I'm really consciously trying to not push my interests onto him. But it's hard from the inevitable standpoint of like what you as a parent care more about. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's so young. You could sign him up for everything and just see what sticks, right? Like,
that's what we're doing. It's
expensive. And play with him in the ways that are fun for you. And at some point, he's going to say, that's not for me.
Yeah.
He's not there now, because now he's just like, whatever, I'm a toddler. We'll just go wherever.
Yeah, he's like 1 week he's obsessed with his tunnel. The next week all he wants to do is play soccer.
Yeah,
the next week it's his baby doll. Yeah.
So I think that that's separate, and it's very natural for you to want to kick a soccer ball with him because you kicked soccer balls and like that's fun for you. And over time, I think the problem would be if you were invested in it. Yeah. I think knowing your intention, like, hey, I'm going to do this because it's fun for me and I'm hoping it's fun for you. And if it's not, we don't need to do it anymore. But it's about, and that's not to say that kids shouldn't be doing things that aren't always fun, because being perfect. You have to do things you don't want to do all the time, and you have to have the capacity to do that. But it's different than you having a deep investment. And that's the work for us. It's just like, what is my investment in this versus, of course, like these are the things that I can do. So this is what we're going to do. I think there's no question that the kids who have parents who are athletic, who take them outside to practice, are more likely to get involved in sports.
Yeah, I mean, both my parents played lacrosse in college.
Yeah, like it makes sense.
Just,
and that's not an imposition. If you're conscientious about noticing if he's doing it for you or doing it for him. And that's all.
Okay. Wait, also, can we go back quickly on the potty training situation? Because I feel like we're getting close to that happening.
Yeah.
What do I even do?
Well, okay. It's a very sexy topic.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So potty training typically occurs between 22 and 36 months. And you can speed it up if you want. You could try to speed it up. People do all the time. But really, if your child isn't ready, it'll just take them longer. So you want to pay attention to signs that he's ready, which
What
are
would that be?
things like, is his diaper dry 2 or more hours during the day?
Okay.
Nighttime, don't worry about. Is his diaper dry 2 or more hours during the day? Okay, that's a good sign. Because if you have to take him to the bathroom every hour, and
Right.
what's the point? And is he interested? Like, is he paying attention when you guys are going to
Yeah,
the
mommy
bathroom?
pee, mommy poop.
Yeah.
He just always thinks I'm pooping.
Does he have the language for it? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
And does he sort of have capacity to sit on a potty?
We haven't
or-
tried that yet.
And it could be I don't want to say a brand that I'm not supposed to, but it could be
Oh, I don't care.
a potty that is made for little people on the
Yeah.
floor.
I probably need to get one of those.
You can get one of those. I would start with that to have, because then you can know if he's interested, because he'll try and sit on it while you're going to the
Right.
bathroom. And the other thing is, obviously, both of you need to go to the bathroom with him and in front of him and wiping in front of him and flushing the toilet in front of him and all those things, which it looks like you could do.
Yeah, he's always
Just-
with me.
you look like the kind of person that's doing
No,
that.
I'm trying to take a morning poop, and he's like playing me a freaking song on his guitar, sitting on the ground. Like I post these
Nice.
photos on my Instagram story all the time. I'm like, what is going to the bathroom as a mom? My dog is in here, like trying to get on my lap, and he's playing the guitar at my feet.
I have a high schooler and a 7th grader, and they walk into my bathroom at least once a week while I'm changing, going to the bathroom, whatever. And then they say to me, like, oh, like, I don't want to be here.
My dad, if he listens to this, is literally like, he hates. I'm always barging into their room. I'm doing whatever. I just walk and I'm like, oh my God. He's like, you're in my space.
I'm changing, and my daughters are like, put some clothes on. And I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
I'm in my room, and if you would like to wait for me to come out of my room, or I can lock my door. But anyway, I think the first thing to do is to get some kind of little potty so that he can just get to know it. And if you can spring for it, put it in every room, every bathroom, just because it makes your life easier. And then if you notice that he's dry and up for it, you decide, do you want to do this in a rip the Band-Aid off kind of way? Or do you want to do this in a sort of slower, every couple weeks you change it, like thinking of a pie, you do another slice of the pie until you get to the whole pie is finished, which is going to the bathroom. So you decide that. And then once you decide that, you decide if you believe in rewards or not. I would put that in the bucket of, who cares if your child wants a sticker when they're 90 if they're taking a shit? Like, the idea that people have imposed on parents that, like, they have to be internally motivated and all of that stuff because the reward will make them feel like you care about their achievements. That's where I'm like, we have done a
We've gone too
disservice to
far.
parents.
He's honestly not that reward driven. I've never like tried to give him a reward, but
So,
he just doesn't seem to care.
like, he's not going to care. Well, he's very little.
Yeah.
But you could decide we don't need to worry about that. You could just decide that you're going to say to him, you know what? Let's try using the potty. Every time you have to go to the bathroom, you just say, pee pee, and we'll go over there and you'll pee on the potty. But if he's like, no thanks, then you can start using a little reward for it. And low investment on your part. So it's not like, you did it, you peed in the potty, woohoo, party. It's just like, all right, so a little bit like a cat, not a dog.
Yeah.
And then
Cat, not a dog.
and then every time when you're ready to take the diaper off, because when you do what's called behavior shaping, which I absolutely don't recommend for most things, because it's like very much treating kids like monkeys.
But we have to for this.
But it works really well. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like it's just time saving.
Yeah.
So you would say, so your first goal is just letting you know that they have to go to the bathroom. If they can't let you know they have to go to the bathroom, they're not ready to potty train.
Yeah. He kind of does for pooping, but like we're nowhere near that stage for pee.
Okay. So when he does for pooping, you can just say, thank you for letting me know. And that way it's reinforced that you must really like when he lets you know. And then same with peeing, he's peeing, you could just say, let me know when you have to pee. And if he is into the rewards thing, that's when you would offer the reward. Every time you let me know that you have to pee, you get like a sticker. Then the next step is, okay, you let me know. Now we go to the bathroom. So you stand in the bathroom in your diaper and pee, and you're getting your little sticker. And then the next phase is you're sitting on the potty. And then the next phase is taking off the diaper. So that's the slow version. And the fast version is, you know what? You are so ready to go pee-pee in the potty. No more diapers. We'll take them off. And you just give them lots of liquids. And and you say, let me know when you have to pee. You don't ask them if they have to go to the bathroom, because when you ask, he
says yes to everything.
Exactly.
It's like, yes.
It's not a meaningful ask. It's like, and so you just say, or you say, let's go to the potty now, and you both sit, whatever. Turning water on helps. Dipping their feet, like an easy experience of peeing for the first time can be dipping his feet in the bath and then sitting right on the potty, because it's just the water just kind of makes you have to go to the bathroom. And then that's it.
Wait, can I ask a really dumb question?
Yes.
Do boys
sit or stand?
Yeah.
They usually start with sitting because it's really hard to aim.
Yeah,
so
I
for
don't
your
wanna clean
sanity,
that.
you might want to, and then you just tuck his little penis in there and show him how to do that, and that's that. However, if you want him to stand, then you can put like Cheerios, like you
like
put
you're
like
aiming.
we're
We're gonna do the whole sit thing,
but it's a big, it's just kind of a pain.
one task at a time.
The only thing is, like, because he watches his dad go to the bathroom, he might want to stand, which is totally fine. But then you just,
Yeah.
it's
That
messy
seems like a
for
lot
a few
to
minutes.
bite off.
I know. I think it's a lot to bite off, but I have daughters, so
Okay. So I feel well equipped now, honestly.
it's really just one of those things. And then the praise. This is an opportunity where praise is no big deal.
Okay.
Where you just say, like, you do that observation thing, like, you peed in the potty.
I see pee there.
Yeah, I see pee there, but you have a little excitement in your voice,
Okay.
and that is enough. You can say, great job peeing in the potty if you want to. It's not the end of the world.
Every time he goes to the bathroom, like hoorah,
Yeah.
like high-fiving himself.
Yeah.
As a mother of older children,
Mm-hmm.
what do you find has been the most difficult thing parenting older kids?
Before I answer that, I have to also tell you that if he doesn't like potty training, don't fight it. There's only two things you should not ever bother with in life: forcing someone to take a poop or eat something. Those two things are not in your control. Like what goes in your body and out of your body is only yours to control. So the minute a parent tries to control that, that is like they're gonna lock it all up. Okay. So,
This shit isn't going anywhere.
yeah. It's just a recipe for a battle
good to know.
that you'll lose.
Yeah.
So you just say, okay, we'll try it again next week or whatever. The question is, what
What do you think is the hardest thing about parenting, like this age range?
not like playing it a little cooler. like the cat dog thing. I'm a real dog. Like my tail wags when I'm feeling excited. And with teenagers, they know when you have an agenda. They know that you have to come in with curiosity with them, with not lessons. Lessons are just like so annoying. So really kind of playing it cool is a little challenging for me, and not wanting to teach a lesson every time they tell me a story about something that happened at school. And not taking things personally. I mean, it is not flattering to have two teenage daughters. Like it's not an ego boost.
It's not good for your ego.
Yeah.
I can speak from the experience of not being nice. Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, tell me more, girls. Tell me more about how amazing my outfit and skin look.
My mom, she's like constantly being like, would it hurt you to tell me you liked what I'm wearing?
Yeah.
Would it hurt?
It's not so hard.
But it's so interesting to say to my mom all the time. I'm like, do you hear yourself talking about your mom?
Right.
Like, it's an ongoing joke in our family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole, modeling is like, it's talent. It's the best teacher. So I would say that's the hardest part. You have to have a really good sense of self by the time you have teenagers.
I'm so scared. So scared.
But it is the coolest time. I will say it gets such a bad rap. I love it so much. I just find it like a surprise, because I knew I was going to love little ones, because I went into a field that is focused more on littles. But teenagers are just not as, they're kind of amazing.
It's good to hear. It's encouraging.
Yeah.
It's not what we hear from most people.
I know. They're amazing as long as you have curiosity, not lessons constantly, and you don't take things as personally as it feels.
I think honestly what I'm most nervous for is not necessarily my children, but like the other teens I'm going to have to deal with. Like the drama, the fights, the bullying, the people, like all of that. That's my face right now, because I'm like, I'm thinking about the very recent experiences that I've had where I'm just like I don't
come
want to
on.
deal with that.
It's hard because you want to grab hold of their
No, literally, I almost beat up this kid at the park. Like, this kid was riding his bike through this like moat of water. I'm like, cut that out, that I almost beat up this kid. Like, hold on. No, I had this situation like a few months ago. We were in the city at this park, and there's this like moat that runs through the park. You know, little kids are playing. And this like 7-year-old's on his fucking bike riding through the moat, and he's like, beep, beep, beep. And there are kids, like Liam was a year, and other kids his age that are so small, like learning how to walk, or they're playing in the water. And I'm like, this is not where you're riding a bike, dude. Kept going back and forth, and every time yelling at us to move. And finally I turned to him and I was like, excuse me, this is not a bike path. You can bike in the park, sure, but do you realize that there are all these little kids? And he's like, move it, lady. And I'm like, where the fuck are your parents?
Was he like 4?
No, he was like a little too old. He was like 7 or something. But I'm like, I don't want to deal with you.
I know. I think that is the biggest the challenge, is like when other people's kids are doing something and you're just like, why is that allowed?
I'm like, where are your parents?
Where are your parents? But people are wildly different in their approaches, and one of the most incredible things that I witness all the time is how confident people are in their wildly different approaches. Because you're just like, God, as good as I feel about my decision making, you feel about your decision making.
I think about this all the time.
It's
in like different
incredible
opinions on everything. I'm like, somehow they think they're right. I don't get it.
It's so when
but
you,
I'm like, I feel the same way.
But you feel the same way,
Yeah.
and so you have to imagine, like, okay, I could just bag on them to my kids and just get really pissy about it, or I could teach my kids that other people deeply believe a perspective that they have in the same way that we do. And so how can we step into their shoes to try to imagine, like, why could it be that parent was thinking, you know what, my kid needs to have the freedom to hear from others that he's got to move out of the way
Right.
and not from me, so that he decides how that feels in his stomach when he's getting in the way of other people. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, this was great. I feel like a champion. No, I really feel like this was so helpful.
I'm so
For
glad
myself.
that you feel good about I want you to feel good about your
Thanks.
parenting.
Oh, not to be annoying. Like, I doubt myself on so much, and I can be really critical of myself. I think I'm an amazing mom.
I love hearing that.
I know people don't like to say that, and some people will project their own shit onto me saying that, but it's a thing I am most confident doing, hands down.
That's beautiful.
And it makes me really happy. For people who are listening who want more of you, where can they support you?
I have a podcast called Raising Good Humans.
It's great. I listen to it.
Thank you. And I have a newsletter on Substack called Raising Good Humans with Dr. Aliza Pressman. Maybe it's dralizapressman.substack.com, actually.
I'll find it and I'll
Whatever.
Link it. Don't worry, I got you.
And I have a book coming out,
Exciting.
but it's not. But I say this with the deep belief that if a book is not anything but more shit to do, I don't want anybody to, like, I want it there as a resource.
You're really good at promoting your book.
I know. By the way, my publishers are like, could you find a new
saying that.
spin?
Are you going to do an audiobook? Are you going to read it?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, because I only listen to, I read smutty YA romance novels. Like, they have to be
Really?
like porn. Yeah. I like read spicy
Fascinating.
shit at night.
People are so interesting.
But I will listen to like self-help, those types of
If
books.
it's by the...
Yeah, it has to be by the author. So I do audiobook for all of that kind of stuff. It's like
Oh.
a long podcast, long form.
Yeah, it's a long form podcast.
Yeah. So I'm excited to listen.
But it's definitely... my pitch is, don't listen if it's going to make you feel stressed.
Okay, I'll start it.
And then
I
if-
can't promise I'll finish.
Right, there you go.
Thank you so much. This was great. I had so much fun chatting with you.
Me too. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Conversations with Cam. Your support means the world to me. If this episode resonated with you, please consider taking the time to rate and review it wherever you listen to your podcasts. Since word of mouth is the best way to continue to grow the show, please also consider sharing it with a friend who you think may enjoy it. To make sure you are staying up to date with new episodes, be sure to subscribe to the show and follow me on social at Cameron Oakes Rogers. See you next week.